Hey, Ivan from the EV Stock Channel here, and today I'm doing a quick update on Tesla China as we now have production and sales numbers from September and Q3 as a whole, and also EV sales from France. But before we begin, thank you to all the Patreons that make these episodes possible, and always, none of this content is financial advice, so let's get started. In September, Tesla smashed a new production record, producing a total of 50,258 vehicles, with a pretty even split, with 24,000 Model 3s and 25,000 Model Ys. And if we annualize September's total production rate, it comes out to a run rate of over 600,000. Now let's look ahead to Q4, and my question is, will Tesla be able to continue production at a rate of 50,000 vehicles per month in the fourth quarter? If they can, then they'll be on pace to manufacture just over 150,000 vehicles. This is in comparison to Q3, where Tesla manufactured a total of 129,000 vehicles. So if Tesla can keep up September's pace, then they would be on pace to increase Q4 production by an additional 21,700 vehicles, which would be a 16% increase quarter over quarter. Moving on to sales, and September was a cracker of a month, and that was to be expected, as a large number of vehicles produced in July and August were exported to Europe, while vehicles for the local market were manufactured and delivered in September. Also to note, I find it quite interesting that Tesla delivered 50,000 vehicles in a single month, as going back a year and a half ago, I remember quite a few media outlets and analysts stating that Tesla would be lucky to sell 50,000 vehicles in China on an annual basis. So I'm glad Tesla proved their critics wrong, again. One other way I like to look at the sales data is on a quarterly basis, as it smooths out the lumpiness of one month to another, and when we do that, there are two things that stick out. One, Q3 was another record quarter for domestic sales in China, and second, the trend is clearly up. And going forward, I really expect to see sales more consistent and higher, especially when Giga Berlin hits scale production. Next, here are Chinese EV sales numbers for the third quarter. The Hongguang Mini was the top-selling EV, and it's in a league of its own for the ultra-small compact car under $5,000. When looking at the sedans and SUVs, the Model Y is still the top-selling vehicle, while it was a close battle for second place, with the Model 3 just edging out the Li Xiang 1. And when you think about it, it's no real surprise that the Model Y is outselling the Model 3, as the Model Y has only been on sale in China since the start of the year, while the Model 3 started selling back in 2019 when it was imported from the Fremont factory. Next, here are total sales for 2021, and again, the Model Y and Model 3 are in a league of their own, followed by the BYD Han and the Li Xiang 1, which has moved up 2 places since the end of Q2. Moving on, and we can see the trend of new vehicles purchased in China being EVs has been steadily increasing, and again, why is this important? Well, remember, China is the world's leading emitter of CO2, and for the people of China, don't forget what they've had to endure as a byproduct of burning fossil fuel for energy production and consumption.
Shanghai's skies are hazy. Pollution levels in the Chinese business capital are the highest they've been this year. The government issued what is known as a yellow alert on Monday, the third highest smog warning. The highest red alert was issued last week in Beijing. Vehicles were ordered off roads, classes cancelled and heavy vehicles banned. Here, 35-year-old Shanghai resident Chen Jun says the smog is terrible and she feels like there is no escape. Data from the US State Department said levels of tiny and dangerous particles known as PM 2.5 were at 281. These particles, experts say, are a major cause of asthma and respiratory diseases. As provinces to the north of Shanghai tighten pollution regulations for steel mills and cement plants, production is being pushed south. China's pollution is causing a headache nationwide. Many rivers and lakes are clogged with garbage. Heavy metals plague the soils.
Moving on to France, a market that I was not able to cover in the previous episode, as the data had not yet been released. But here it is, and Q3 was another strong quarter, with 5,400 Model 3s delivered and only 117 Model Ys. During Q3, the Model 3 was again the top-selling EV in France, beating out the hometown Renault Zoe and the Peugeot 208. Looking at 2021 total sales, and the Model 3 is still number 1, and no changes in the top 6 since the end of Q2. And on a positive note, France did achieve a new record in September with 12.7% of all new cars sold being EVs, so great news there. And on a final note, France will invest 4 billion euros in an attempt to regain Europe's EV leadership. The money will go to Renault and Stellantis, with the hope France will be able to manufacture 2 million EVs and plug-in hybrids by, get this, 2030. Not an ambitious goal, but at least it's going in the right direction. Anyways, that wraps up this updated episode on the Chinese and French EV markets. And stay tuned, a bunch more new episodes to be released soon.